Okay, so we're back. We're done with chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. We're in the roll. Now we're going to get to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is very small. Usually take just one day of class. So we're going to get into very quickly there. It's an important chapter that talks about capacity. So capacity planning and the notion of capacity and capacity strategies. So what is capacity? When I say the word capacity, what do you guys would come to your mind? So we all know what that roughly that is. It's the maximum amount that it can fit, right? So you have a bottle that have a maximum capacity, and you have a classroom that have maximum capacity. You have uh, your fridge has a maximum capacity, and how many people should fit in your car. There's a maximum capacity, usually 5 people in your car. So that's the maximum amount that can fit into a specific place, or you can, in our case, it will be more related to process capacity, right? So it's still how much you can fit, but how much you can fit into a certain amount of time, usually how many you can produce, right? So you can calculate, we're going to learn here how to calculate the capacity of a process. So not only looking at physical space, but how many sandwiches I can make per hour, or how many customers I can see per hour, or how. So it's in terms of capacity of the process. There's also a very important notion of utilization. So how much I'm using that capacity. Okay. And then you can try to understand how much of that I'm actually utilizing right now, and how much I'm not utilizing right now. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna answer these 3 questions in class, but before that, we're gonna go to some of the notions, right? So you know what that picture is about? Yeah, it's Go Gamecocks. That's very, very different than what this season is gonna look like, right? So that's a picture of what we're not gonna see in the 2020 season, and that's the stadium packed with people. What is the capacity of the stadium? Roughly about 80,000 people. That's the number that I got. So we know that we can fit 80,000 people and throughout the game, right? And that's the capacity. But it's usually not packed with 80,000 people. But sometimes have 40,000. Sometimes have 75,000. And nowadays, with these social distance limitations, maybe we can only fit 20,000 there with the safety regulations and all that. Okay, so we know that capacity is the maximum output of a process or a system, right? By knowing that, we can start asking other questions: how many students we can teach in this classroom. And when I asked this question last semester, the answer was different than this semester, and probably is going to be different for next semester, right? So we had the social distancing guidelines that now saying that although physically it can fit, let's say, 60 students in this class, you actually have to operate with 50% of that. So you have to only have 30 students there, right? So you cannot have more than that. But you can think also about the plants that's producing parts, or food truck, right? Remember a truck that produced tacos? We're selling tacos. How many tacos I can produce in an hour? What is the maximum amount of customers a restaurant can serve, or a bank can have, or a hotel can have, or Starbucks can serve, or Chick-fil-A can serve, or how many iPhones Apple can sell in one store in an hour, whatever kind of maximum amount in different kind of operations. And it's important to understand. It's a very initially very simple math that we're going to complicate a little bit more and a little bit more, but we have this basic math about capacity and utilization. So utilization is how much are you using from that capacity. So you can see very simple math here. Utilization equals to output rate, or the average, or the current, divided by the capacity. And what that will give us is a percentage of how much are we using of the capacity, right? So let's say that the room is for 60 people and we only have 20 people in. So you're using 33% of the capacity. Your utilization is 33%, right? And this is this is an example of how to calculate utilization with what you have now, or average, and capacity. Okay. And another important concept of capacity is what we call capacity cushion. So very good opportunity to use that as an example, right? So 60, let's say that we have 60 chairs there in a classroom. It can fit 60 people. But we know that because social distance, we need to cut that in half. So we're going to put a 50% capacity cushion. We're going to say that we're not going to use that capacity. We only going to use the rest of the 50%, right? So that's what capacity cushion is. It's a part of the capacity that I'm going to plan not to utilize, okay? I'm going to plan to have some wiggle room there, and sometimes this could be very high, other times it could be very low, but it's a wiggle room that I'm going to use, and that I'm not going to use all my capacity. I'm going to wait and going to let that have some wiggle room, and sometimes could be higher, sometimes could be lower. But the capacity cushion is 100% minus the utilization rate, right? So it's the part of the capacity that I'm not using.